Every fall, a fascinating natural event takes place as millions of monarch butterflies embark on an extraordinary migration. This journey is a long, arduous trek that spans thousands of miles and spans generations, raising countless questions about how these tiny insects navigate across vast distances. Monarchs, which originate in the temperate climates of North America, make their way to the warm forests of Mexico to survive the winter. But how do these butterflies know where to go? How do they navigate such an extensive journey without ever having been there before? The journey of the monarch butterfly is not just a remarkable feat of nature, but it also reflects the mysteries of animal migration, navigation, and the wonders of the natural world. The monarch's migration, a grand journey. Every year, monarch butterflies undertake one of the most incredible migrations in the animal kingdom. This migration, spanning over 3,000 miles, begins as the weather cools in the fall. Monarchs, which thrive in temperate zones, cannot survive the harsh winter conditions of the northern regions. As the temperature drops, they begin their long journey southward, aiming for the forests of central Mexico, where the climate remains warm enough for them to survive through the winter months. These forests, located primarily in the Sierra Madre Mountains, are often covered with millions of monarch butterflies by the time winter sets in. The remarkable thing about this journey is that each monarch butterfly makes the trek alone, without the help of any guidance from older butterflies. In fact, monarchs migrate to Mexico only once in their lives. Once their mission is complete, they die, and the cycle continues with their offspring. It's an ongoing cycle of life and death, as each generation of monarchs migrates, lays eggs, and dies, while the next generation follows the same path, continuing the journey. Monarchs don't know the route, but they find their way. The biggest question about the monarch migration is how these butterflies know where to go. After all, the butterflies that migrate south for the winter have never made the trip before. The butterflies that migrate north in the spring are the offspring of those who traveled south, but they still manage to find their way to the same forests year after year. The answer to this question is still somewhat of a mystery. While scientists have not fully uncovered the exact mechanism monarchs use to navigate, they do know that these butterflies use a combination of environmental cues to find their way. One of the most critical elements of this navigation process is the sun. Monarchs, like many migratory species, are known to use the position of the sun as a compass. The direction of the sun's rays helps them orient themselves and choose their path during migration. But the sun can only guide them so far. Monarchs that start their journey from different locations follow slightly different paths. Despite this, all of them eventually converge on the same spot in the forests of Mexico. How do they know when to stop and change direction? This is where the mystery deepens. While scientists have discovered that the sun plays a role in guiding them, it is clear that there are other mechanisms that are still being studied. Generations of monarchs, the cycle of life and death. An astonishing aspect of the monarch migration is the involvement of multiple generations. Monarchs do not complete the entire migration in their lifetimes. The monarchs that travel south in the fall live only a few months, but they lay their eggs on milkweed plants as they reach the southern reaches of North America and into Mexico. These eggs hatch into caterpillars, which eventually transform into butterflies and begin their journey northward. The journey of the monarch butterfly is passed down from generation to generation. The caterpillars that emerge from the eggs in spring grow into butterflies that travel north, seeking out milkweed plants to lay their eggs. Their short lives are spent entirely in the northern regions, where they find the food they need and reproduce. But even these butterflies are not the same individuals that started the migration south months earlier. In fact, the butterflies that make the return trip north are often the offspring of the monarchs that spent the winter in Mexico. This cycle of migration takes place each year, but each generation of butterflies only lives for part of the journey. The monarchs that travel the farthest, known as the super generation, are the ones that make the longest journey south to Mexico and will eventually start the return journey north in the spring. However, By the time these butterflies reach their destination in Mexico, they have lived out their lives. It is their offspring that will continue the journey north. The entire cycle of migration from north to south and back again takes place over the course of several generations. The monarch butterflies that make the final leg of the journey north are the great-great-grandchildren of the butterflies that made the original journey south. The supergeneration, a special breed of monarchs. While the regular monarch butterflies that live in the northern regions of North America only make partial journeys, there is a special generation of monarchs known as the supergeneration. These butterflies are different from their ancestors and offspring in that they are capable of making the long journey south to Mexico. These monarchs have an innate ability to navigate vast distances and survive the winter in Mexico, a feat that few other generations of monarchs achieve. The supergeneration monarchs are specially adapted for long-distance migration. They are typically larger and have more fat reserves, which help them survive the grueling journey south. Their ability to survive the winter in Mexico is key to the continuity of the species. As the cycle of life continues, new generations are born, and the journey of the monarchs repeats itself each year. The role of milkweed in the monarch's life cycle. One of the most critical aspects of the monarch butterfly's life cycle is the relationship it has with milkweed plants. Milkweed is the only plant on which monarch butterflies will lay their eggs, and it is essential to the survival of their offspring. The caterpillars that hatch from these eggs feed on the milkweed plants, gaining the nutrients they need to grow into adult butterflies. Without milkweed, the monarch butterfly population would not be able to survive. This close relationship between the monarch and the milkweed plant is not only essential for the survival of the species, but also highlights the importance of preserving natural habitats. As urbanization and agricultural practices expand, milkweed habitats have been increasingly threatened, which poses a significant challenge to the survival of monarch butterflies. Conservation efforts are crucial to ensuring that these butterflies continue their incredible journey for generations to come. How do monarchs navigate without a map? The idea that monarch butterflies might have an internal map or guide to help them navigate their migration has long fascinated scientists. However, researchers have found no evidence to suggest that monarchs have a mental map that tells them exactly where to go. Instead, it is likely that their migration is based on a combination of environmental cues, including the position of the sun, the Earth's magnetic field, and possibly even the landscape itself. Recent studies have suggested that monarchs may also rely on a form of genetic memory, passed down from generation to generation, that guides them to the same forests in Mexico each year. This theory is supported by the fact that even monarchs born in different regions of North America converge on the same forests in Mexico, despite having never been there before. It is possible that the monarchs are born with an innate sense of direction that allows them to navigate, but how this works is still a mystery. The future of monarch migration. As climate change, habitat destruction, and human activities continue to threaten monarch butterfly populations, their future is uncertain. Conservation efforts are critical to ensuring that monarchs continue their annual migration. Protecting milkweed habitats and other vital parts of the monarch's migration route is essential to maintaining the health and stability of the species. Organizations around the world are working to raise awareness of the plight of the monarch butterfly and to promote conservation efforts. By protecting the natural habitats that monarchs rely on, we can help ensure that these incredible creatures continue to migrate for generations to come. That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed learning about the incredible migration of monarch butterflies, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to our channel for more fascinating nature stories and insights. Thanks for watching, and stay curious.